fellow creators, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Yvette and I am part of the SheetLoad creative team. Today, some of my teammates and I will be participating in a SheetLoad rewind along with Alicia of the Call Me Crafty Owl channel. If you'd like to see what each of the team members has created, I will have a link to a playlist in the description box below. Now we are rewinding to the October 2021 sketch and supply list. This is currently in the vault, but because we are rewinding, it will be available to Alicia's subscribers for a limited time. Now let me show you what my plan is. So I am using this beautiful paper pad that I have in my stash from Michael's. It's the Dia de los Muertos paper pad. And I've already completed all but one card using this sketch. And I wanted to complete that on camera with you because I've made a couple of changes to the sketch. So first of all, I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine because for me, while I love the torn edge here on the sketch, I'm not great at getting a good torn edge on my papers. So what I've decided to do is die cut my pieces using this little border die that I have in my stash. Unfortunately, I don't know where I got that. I think it might be Simon Says stamp. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, with my pieces, I used 2 pieces of pattern paper from that paper pad. Oh, let me see if I can grab the scraps, some scraps I have. This is what they were. So I used these 2 pieces. So it's basically the same paper, but in a black version and a white version. So the white background and the black background. And I cut my pieces from those papers. Now, I did cut them a little bit narrower than what is called for in the sketch. And I did that because once I did the first one, I realized I didn't need it to be as wide as it was in the sketch. So I cut it down a 1/4 inch shorter or narrower than needed. So what I did was after I cut my first piece of pattern paper, me being the type A personality that I am, want to have perfection. So I wanted all my cards to be cut the same. So I kept this scrap piece and I taped down my die, and then all I'm doing is putting in my piece of paper here, lining up the scrap piece that was left over from the previous paper I cut. Let me get this lined up here for a minute. And then I can kind of shift my pattern paper over so it lines up to where this one is, and then I can cut it. So you'll see it comes out with the same cut. Alrighty. So ta-da! So I'm going to do the same thing with my next piece of pattern paper. And what I did was keep the opposite colors so that I could kind of see it better when I'm using the scrap. So I placed it here with a straight edge along here. I have that cut. Now let me bring in all the rest of my bits and pieces. So I'm using a black card base. I also have a white panel for the inside of the card. Here is a scrap of that paper that I'm going to add to the inside panel. I have some gems here in my stash that I had in my stash to add. So I'm using this bright pink paper as my background panel. And then I also used scraps from when I cut this down for the ribbon that you see there. I was going to use actual ribbon, but then I thought, no, I'm just going to try and use up my scraps as I cut them. Here what I did was I used one of the pattern papers with a black border or black background and this one with a white background.
Solo pienso en ti, y en el momento que te acercaste a mí, Cuando baja el sol.
And then for my focal point, what I did is I kind of created this in Canva. And so I just looked up Dia de los Muertos images and frames. And then I kind of typed in this little sentiment there myself and made it curved so it's in a circle. And all it says is, remember me until you're in my arms again, remember me. It doesn't, because I'm going right to the edge. Now I know in the sketch you kind of can go in more. Oh, and then in the sketch, this piece is actually 1/2 inch and I cut mine at 1/4 inch. So it's not going to be exactly long enough to go do the full flip over, but what I decided to do was just cut it here in the middle because this center focal point is going to cover that up, and so you won't see that it's not completely running across the whole center of the panel. So you can also see another change I made to the sketch is on the sketch the focal point is a little bit towards the bottom and mine's more towards the center.
Aquella noche triste cuando yo te perdí.
All right, friends, here are the 6 cards I completed using the October 2021 SheetLoad of Cards sketch. And you'll see I did a few different versions. So these 2 cards here, I alternated the 2 pieces. So this is the pattern paper with a black background and this one with a white, and then vice versa here. And here I used a black vellum scallop circle behind my focal point, and here I used a pink vellum scallop circle. And so I did that on pink vellum on 3 of them and black vellum on 3 of them. And so then for these 2 cards, I just kept the white background pattern paper as both pieces. So it's the same. And then this one was the black background pattern paper. And you can see I added the white panel with the leftover pattern paper from the pieces I cut. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I'd be thrilled if you subscribed to my YouTube channel or followed me on any of my other social media platforms. As always, have a beautiful, safe, and creative day. Thanks for watching. Bye.